Thank you for joining me on this sacred journey in the sacred tree house. My name is Dr. T, and welcome to this sacred space. Before I jump into the message, I want to show a card. Red flags. So often we associate this with the warning signs, taking heed in risky situations with relationships. But what about when there are red flags within us that we need to take heed and pay attention to? This card came to my mind as I was preparing for this message because I was having a conversation with a friend and I brought up self sabotage because I was able to recognize some of the anxiousness surrounding a decision my friend was about to make. And I was trying to be as gentle as possible and not to just say, hey, you're self sabotaging. So I gave some of my advice, some of my opinion, but ultimately the spirit led me to step back and allow my friend to make the decision. And what ended up happening is that it actually worked out where my friend noticed those signs and got out of a contract, got out of something before they had to sign the contract, right? So after this happened, it really made me contemplate about how we all fall victim to self-sabotage. I have, and I try not to do it anymore, but it's so easy because the self-saboteur is very seductive because your inner self knows all of your inner workings. And if someone has the handbook, the playbook to your internal guidance system, what makes you tick, then they can play the dirtiest tricks on you, right? They tell us that the greatest trick the devil ever played was convincing us that he doesn't exist. And what a trick it is. Because somehow we believe that we can't be fooled, we can't be tricked. We're smarter than this, we're smarter than that. Yeah, we can be. But when it comes to our internal workings, that can be very, very hard to detect. And so, as I was preparing for this message, a card came to mind, a very, very strong card. Um, and it is from my African Goddess Rising book. And I'm going to use my guidebooks this time because I want to make sure I'm very specific about this message and clear because I wanted to really bless and help those who are watching. It is important for us as a collective, as human beings, to understand when we are playing and tricking ourselves. That is very powerful because we will tell ourselves sweet lies and we will sing ourselves sweet songs and drink ourselves sweet drinks. All of this in the name of it feels good, yet we're not paying attention to the warning signs, right? So this message comes on the heels of someone about to make a decision, a not so good choice, and they were about to sign a contract. But this can be applied to any area of your life. If you're eating unhealthy, if you are not watching your finances properly, you need to understand the warning signs or these unhealthy patterns that we sometimes miss because we think, oh, it feels good. It makes me feel good. It makes me happy, and so on and so forth. I feel good. We'll get that false serotonin, that happy rush, um, because we are looking at it from another. I'm sorry, we're not looking at it through the proper lens, right? So this card, self sabotage, Mamlambo. All right, number 24. I'm going to talk about the symbolism of this card as well. So I'm making sure that the That light is not glaring on it. I'm going to talk about the symbolism. But Mambalumbo, she is the shadow aspect of ourselves. She comes from the Zulu tribe. She's from the temple of shadows in the element of bush, which means the earth element. She's known as a monster. She's a brain sucking, snake like, water dwelling Zulu goddess of the rivers. Mumbalumbo's shadow guidance says that you're holding yourself apart from your blessings. What ancient pain are you trying to stuff down? And don't let the word ancient fool you. This could be a pain just from childhood. This could be a pain from a year ago, from a month ago. But what pain are you trying to stuff down, numb, ignore, or avoid? The story that I started with about my friend, the avoidance was coming from the fact, or I would say the numbing, trying to get into a contract or purchase something because it was something to help that person feel better, right? And we have to be careful with that, because if you already have the things that you need, but you're going out saying, I'm getting this just to feel better, that is a warning sign. I'm gonna go hang out and drink and to feel better. That's a warning sign. Now don't get it twisted. Sometimes it's good to go out and let your hair down. But when you're doing something excessive, or you're about to make a big purchase or a big decision, and it's in the name of feeling good, you need to stop and you need to take heed to the red flags. All right. So what Mamba Lumbo, what she embodies is, though she embodies the seductive patterns of behavior blocks, which block your path and your power. She embodies distractions, addictions, cravings, and unhealthy habits that will not bring you your best. She is your inner bully. She is the voice telling you you messed up. She's the part that is jealous, that's angry, and she is also the inner procrastinator. And she's also, get this, your toxic relationship choices. However, you need to stop terrorizing yourself with broken promises of discipline. Instead, choose devotion. That is a word we don't talk about enough. To your chosen pathways. What inspired actions can you take today? And the goddess declaration says, I have compassion for myself. So, first things first, recognize some of those warning signs, those behaviors, those seductive patterns in you that's not bringing out the best. So, recognize those. Forgive yourself. I'm always talking about feel your feelings. Feel your feelings, but then forgive yourself. Don't hold on to that, because that within itself is self-sabotaging. If you keep beating yourself up over and over again, I'm not good enough. Yes, you are. So kick that out the window. Feel your feelings, forgive yourself, and then start making the necessary changes by devoting yourself to it. Anything worth having is worth working for. I know that's an old adage, but it is. You don't get to a certain place overnight. You don't get to your ideal weight overnight. You don't get to that degree overnight. You have to work towards these things. So once you recognize these patterns, tell yourself you're going to devote yourself to it. No matter if you start and you stop, no matter how many times you fail, you're going to devote yourself, you're going to finish it, and you're going to stay on the journey of reinventing yourself, if that makes sense, right? Because you want to get out of that self-sabotaging mindset enough to where you can begin to have a new playbook, right, for yourself. And that's the best way to make sure that you're constantly growing, that you're not stuck in these same patterns. Because again, I started with telling you the self-saboteur knows you best. So if you're not stuck in these same patterns, you have new patterns, then the what they say, the enemy has to switch it up and try to figure some new stuff out. So it's always going to be some challenge, some new level you have to get past. But this message is about recognizing and starting to make those um, new patterns for yourself in your life so that you can evolve and so that you can grow spiritually. All right, so let's talk about some of the symbolism on this card. If you notice, it's a woman and she's coming out of a snake's body, right? Which symbolizes, when snakes shed their skin, that means transformation. But she's not all the way out of the body. So that's why she's embodying this self sabotage, because she's still attached to this old skin. And then also, when we talk about seductive patterns, beautiful woman, long flowing hair, under the moon, things that are hidden. You're not able to see these things in real time because remember, the sun illuminates and the moon hides. So she's under the moon, she's in the murky water, she's in the river. You can't really see your patterns in things like this, right? So this is telling you you have to get all the way out of that old skin, and you have to move past the hidden parts of you. And one of the ways that you do that is by recognizing that we do have a shadow side. We do have that angel devil on our shoulders. I don't think we want to acknowledge that. We think we sometimes go way over to the spectrum of that. Oh, I'm the worst, or way over to the other of the spectrum where I'm the best. And both of those are giving you some false sense of self because we're all constantly working through things, right? And this life is a healthy balance. And so, in order for you to change, you have to recognize those self sabotaging patterns and behaviors that keeps you from growing and going and becoming that person that you want to become. Again, just notice the symbolism here. She's still attached to the old skin, which means she's still wrapped up in those old patterns. She's under the moon, which means those old patterns are hidden and they need to be um, they need to be seen, right? So you need to start looking at your patterns and finding ways to move past them. So these two cards came to mind, and then as I continued to meditate on this message, I looked at another one of my decks, and I've never gotten this particular card. And when I read this card, it was so very interesting. Um, this is the goddess Hel. That is her name. I did not mispronounce it. I even went to the book to look like, am I mispronouncing it? Because they have the pronunciations in the book. So this is the goddess Hel. She represents the end of cycles. But I want to read what I learned from this that was very interesting. First of all, she's a Norse underworld queen and goddess of death. Her striking appearance, half light, half dark, represents the spiritual netherworld over which she rules. It's a mysterious healing realm where those who died from disease or old age, they receive spiritual renewal. Now get this. The medieval Christian church named their Hell, Hell, after her. This powerful goddess brings guidance for inevitable change, transitions, and endings. Her symbols are ravens, black crystals, and the ruin symbol, Hagalas. I'm not very sure what that is, but we'll figure that out together. But I thought that this was very interesting because she represents releasing what no longer serves you, and she helps you to prepare for transformation. We have been taught to fear hell and also to fear our shadow side when we should embrace it, because our shadow side, it shows us how to transform. It shows us how to transmute this energy and become a new person. As I mentioned before, we're supposed to becoming anew all the time, right? But we have been taught that we're in this linear time. You know, you wake up, you go to sleep, you age, and so on and so forth, which that is a part of it. But we don't look at the spiritual part of it either, of cycles ending before the actual death of the human being takes place. You can literally end cycles in your life and transform your life right now. You don't have to wait until you transition to an actual death. You can begin to make these transitions and make these transformative, I would say transformative moves within your life. You know, any subject that you want to look at that you need to transform, you can do that now within your life. And so these two goddesses, they may seem scary. You know, we've been taught again not to acknowledge our shadow side, or what we call our devil side, or what they would call a hellish side. But it is imperative to recognize that, so that we're not tricked and constantly being um, seduced into thinking that we're making the right choices or the right moves, but for some reason we don't see any results. So if you're in this place where you feel like, let me close this out. Okay. If you're in this place where you feel like you've been trying to change some things in your life and do some things a little different, but just doesn't seem like it's working. No matter what you do, no matter how much you feel like you're changing things up, that means that there's some unchecked patterns that you need to take out time and look at, and make you a list. Make Literally sit down and make a list. Make a list of what's working in your life, what's not working in your life, right? And as you look at those lists, look at your actions and behaviors around them. You know, what were your actions and behaviors around what's working, and what has been your actions and behaviors, like what caused you to purchase something, or what caused you to continue to go out and drink and do these things, and you're losing money, right? Because you know, every time you go out, when you're having a good time, you're spending some money. Well, again, nothing's wrong with that, but you want to check those patterns if it is not helping you to evolve or creating a sense of freedom. If you're having a sense of feeling stagnant or stuck, it's definitely time to check your patterns and behaviors and what's going on around that. Okay. All right. So the next thing that I wanted to pull out, or I wanted to pull out the answer. You know, I have to get messages from my ancestors, right? Or the ancestors, we'll say that. So the ancestor message. Um, as I was preparing for this message, I've actually been preparing for this message for a couple of days, because not because it's hard to talk about self-sabotaging. I just wanted to make sure I was very clear with this message, because as I mentioned in the beginning, and I feel like there's no level of I feel like there's no level in this message, or no, I don't want to say level. Let me change that up. I feel like this message is the tip of the iceberg. That's what I'm trying to say. This message is that, oh, yeah, I have been feeling this way, or I was thinking this, and I do want to get out of this pattern. So this message is at like a light bulb popping on. Self-sabotaging is one of those, I would say, challenges that takes a lot of self awareness. You have to be willing to open that door to self, walk in and say, I don't care what I find, but I gotta clean out this closet. I gotta clean this house out. That is what this is about. I have to clean up, because I'm tired of living this way. I'm tired of things not working out for me, because everything starts with self. And when you realize it, when you have this self-actualization, you're ready to clean out. You're motivated to clean out your house, your space. This is your house. This is the vehicle that we're in. Before you even look outside, this is what you have to clean out. You have to clean it out physically with food and things like that. Have your detoxing. You have to clean it out spiritually and energetically. But we forget because we think everything is external and is not. Okay. So, ancestors, what message do you have for us right now? For the listeners here, for my magical magicians, my collective, what message? Oh, okay. Let's see. I was not even trying to do this. The shadow, trials and tribulations. I'm laughing because I just love when the spirit is so aligned. I knew I had to get this message out. I I don't even think I need to really talk too much about this card, but the dark night of the soul is very important. The shadow self takes you through the dark night of the soul. I've gone through a dark night of the soul, and I think sometimes we have many dark nights of the soul, but it's not until we recognize when it's not until we recognize that there are truly dark nights of the soul. There are the dark aspects of us that we need to recognize and clean up, that we can truly appreciate the shadow stuff. I used to get the shadow card, the death card, and the tower card, and it used to kind of, take me aback. But now I'm actually energized and excited when I see these cards, because this means that something is coming up for you to look at and for you to clean up, as I just mentioned. And it comes to your trials and tribulations. I mean, come on, some of you out there that are Christians, or you're religious or spiritual, we know that your trials and tribulations, that is what strengthens you. That is what it's almost, to me, it helps you prepare for the world, because it's an internal war, right, that you're facing and you're going through, that helps you prepare for the external stuff that you have to go through. And believe me, as you clean things up inside of yourself, you're going to see that mirrored outside of yourself. Take my word for it, because I've gone through it. I recently have gone through a dark night of the soul, so I know this all too well. So the shadow, lean in it, lean in it. And if you feel like you're in this self-saboteur, just remember Mambalumbo. Remember her. Say, I know what this is. She's coming to remind me to take a second look and get all of the snake skin off so I can transform. She's reminding me to look at the darkness, the things that are hidden, so that I can bring them up to light and I can transform them. She's not to be feared. She's actually to be revered, so that you can understand who you are. And then also, let's not forget hell. The Christians made this enigma, right? This goddess to be something horrible, like, oh, they will send you to a hell. Actually, she's the one that takes you there to help to transform you, so that you can be enlightened. Everything about this world, this light and this dark, is all about bringing us back to light, bringing us back to life. That's what it's about. Okay. And last but not least, don't forget, take heed. Watch those warning signs within yourself. Watch them within yourself. Let's see what's at the bottom of the deck. The monarch, the chariot, light and dark. Again, all of the light and dark aspects. Even here, light and dark with the wolves. Light and dark. The light and dark aspects. We can't get away from it. We cannot. So this message is about leaning into the dark part, so that you can understand yourself, so that you can transform. So I hope this message. And I also have I have affirmation cards as well. I embrace change and welcome opportunities. So take time to use the knowledge of the dark side or the shadow side to help you to welcome in opportunities. You're going to embrace that change. It may be scary, but you can do it. I overcome challenges and I grow stronger. That shadow part of you is about embracing the dark part so that you can overcome these challenges and you can become a better version of yourself. I think that's the word I was looking for earlier. So I hope this message is a blessing for someone, because it is a blessing for me to give this message. This is my joy. So, my joy to help others move into the best version of themselves. If you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe and share this message with a friend. For more information about me or my blog, check out my description box. All right, until next time, be blessed.